Falling into an abusive situation can be a lot easier than you think. Whether it's our friends, girlfriends, or even our family, when we're being treated poorly by the people who are supposed to be supportive of us, it can be absolutely devastating for our lives. I'll give you some tips on how you can be more alert and on guard against abusive treatment. It took me years to understand these tips, so I hope they will be valuable to you. If you're interested in more topics like this one, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. And if you're currently recovering from a toxic or abusive relationship, I hope you'll check out the link in the description below. I offer coaching for people who are trying to recover from those kinds of relationships. I personally spent over a year in a relationship with an extremely abusive narcissist, and I can help you recover from that situation too. The people we spend time with really affect us. They can lift us up and help us feel supported and motivated in life. They can listen to our thoughts and our feelings, making us feel heard and seen. They can offer compliments, making you feel good about yourself. They can support you in your life. Or they can do none of those things. The people we spend time with can also mock our aspirations, destroying our confidence and motivation. They can make jokes at our expense, making us feel worthless. And they can ignore our thoughts and feelings or dismiss them, making us feel totally unheard and unseen. The people we spend time with can have a huge impact on our lives, which is why it's so devastating when we spend time with the wrong people. Now, here are some tips on how you can avoid the kind of people who are going to knock you down in life, who aren't going to be supportive of you. Now, I learned these through years of spending time with abusive friends, girlfriends, and even family members. So I hope that you'll find them useful. Number 1, watch out for a lack of accountability. When it comes to lacking accountability, this can include things like excusing their bad behavior on external factors, like, their mood or their past or how they might be feeling in that moment. But what's really important is to look out for avoidant behavior when it comes to apologies. If you tell them that they have hurt your feelings and they start getting irritated with you or getting angry or defensive, this is a major red flag. It shows that they cannot admit to themselves that they were wrong, and that they would rather feel like they were right than treat you with respect. Now, this doesn't always have to show up when you directly tell them that they've hurt your feelings. Think about this with yourself. If you do something or say something that has hurt someone's feelings, you can usually pick up on it. Or even if you feel like something's off, you're gonna ask, hey, are you doing okay? The key is to expect that same kind of concern from them. Now, years ago, I had a friend who was constantly throwing me under the bus. He was never supportive of me, and he was always being critical for its own sake. Not in a supportive or helpful, constructive way, but just being critical for its own sake. Now, after years of this, I started to notice how it was making me feel. There were times where I'd go spend time with this guy, and for the rest of the day, maybe even a few days after that, I was just totally lacking motivation. I'd feel very bad about myself, and I wasn't interested or motivated to work on the things that I wanted to work on in my life. And the reason for it is because he was just criticizing me all the time, and it just made me feel like worthless about myself, which in turn made me feel unmotivated. Now, one day I told him that he needed to stop treating me that way, and his reaction was anger. He got angry and irritated with me, and he told me that he would never change. He told me that I just needed to accept his behavior, and that I needed to hear the criticisms that he was telling me. And since that day, I haven't spoken to him, and I don't miss him. I don't miss that kind of treatment. I don't need it. So the thing to be watchful for is, are they actually showing concern for you? And you can pick up on that when it comes to showing some kind of concern for your well-being and whether or not this person is taking accountability for the way that they're treating you. Number 2, excusing what makes you feel bad. It's so common for friends to belittle each other in a passive-aggressive way and pass it off as if it was a joke, saying, "Oh my God, I was joking," as if it's your problem that you're getting hurt by their passive-aggressive attacks. We don't stick up for ourselves. We're too forgiving, too understanding for our own good, and it's precisely because of that that allows us to be taken advantage of. Being able to be understanding and forgiving is really important, but only with those who've actually earned that from us. What you're looking for is a pattern of behavior. If they're consistently throwing you under the bus, if they're consistently making jokes at your expense, or belittling you, this is what you're looking for. If you're unsure what to do, it's always a good idea to just confront the person about their behavior. Just tell them about how their behavior is making you feel, and whether you appreciate it or not. How they react will tell you everything that you need to know. In a sense, that leads into point number 1. If they throw out excuses, if they blame you for it, if they tell you that you need to grow thicker skin, that's all you need to know about how this person really thinks about you. You don't always need to be confrontational with these kinds of people. All you need to do is look for how they actually see you. It's not your job to excuse their behavior, it's theirs. And if all they do is get defensive when you tell them, "Hey, the way you talk to me makes me feel like garbage," they get defensive and start arguing with you about it, they're telling you that's how they truly see you. All you need to do is walk away. Number 3, checking in with yourself. Now, a lot of the time, we don't even know that we're being treated poorly. I mean, that's usually how toxic relationships or abusive situations work, is someone treats you poorly, and for a long time, you're not even aware of it. So the question is how do you catch such a thing? And the answer is to check in with how you're feeling about spending time with people, whether it's before or after. Now, like I was saying in point 1, you spent years of my life with people who would treat me poorly. They'd make jokes at my expense, they'd criticize me all the time, they'd tear down my aspirations or my ideas or thoughts, some of whom would just straight up insult me. This had the emotional toll on me of feeling unmotivated, disinterested in my life, feeling like, well, I couldn't take that on, or I couldn't achieve that. Now, for a long time, I didn't really even make that causal connection of I would spend time with these people who would treat me in a certain way, which then made me feel like crap. Now, the key here is to start to see that kind of connection. Just making yourself aware of the people you spend time with will have an effect on you, and to just check in with yourself. How do you feel after you spend time with these people? When I was spending time with some of these people that I used to be with, my energy level, like I would feel drained. I'd sleep in later. I'd be very sluggish in the morning. I would never really get to 100% energy level in that day. In the very bad situations, my attention was shot. I really couldn't focus on anything. I couldn't really pay attention to things. In the very toxic situations, my anxiety levels were super high. I had a hard time sort of holding things. When I would do the dishes, I'd break glasses. That's what you need to be looking for, is how do I feel after I spend time with these people? Do I feel motivated? Do I feel interested in my life? Do I feel excited to go do the things I want to do? Or do I feel sluggish, slow, disinterested, lazy? It can be as simple as identifying, I feel a bit sluggish after spending time with this person. That can be the beginning of allowing yourself to see that this person is treating you poorly and is not right for you. Now, here's a little bonus tip. Now, in dating, there is a fallacy that we fall into all too often called the scarcity mindset. It's something I fell into myself, for sure. The idea is that there is only a finite amount of good women out there. There's only a finite amount of dates that you're going to be able to have. There's only a finite amount of opportunities you're going to have. So if you manage to get a girlfriend, you better hold on tight, because who knows when or if ever you're going to have another girlfriend. This mindset is what leads a lot of guys into terrible abusive situations, or situations where they're just not happy. They think, I've got one, and then they just hold on tight, regardless of how they feel about this person. Now, why this is incorrect is because spending time with someone who's not right for you or treats you poorly isn't good for you. It's not going to make you happy. In fact, you're far better off to be alone than with someone who's not right for you. Well, the thing is, the exact same principle applies to friendships and even family members. Friends can definitely be very hard to come by. We're all aware of the whole loneliness epidemic, but the same principle applies. If you're with someone who treats you poorly, you're only going to be worse off than if you were just on your own. The idea of being alone can be very scary, but it's worth it. It's better to be alone than with someone who treats you poorly. Now, if you suspect that you are in a relationship with someone, whether it's a friend, family, or a girlfriend, and they're treating you poorly, take steps to break away from that person. It might be really hard to do it, but you will feel so much better about yourself and about your life. You'll go from having no excitement or energy in your life to feeling confident and motivated just from the absence of this toxic person. And another thing to keep in mind is if you are trying to get out of or over a toxic person, check out the link in the description below. I can definitely help you out. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope these tips actually helped you. If you want to see more content like it, please consider subscribing, and I really hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.